reporter asked Kyle Shanahan today, are you going to pick up Mike McGlinchey's option? And he didn't say the word yes, because I guess it's not necessarily his call. He has to run it through the proper channels. But he was basically saying, yeah. He even spoke directly to McGlinchey, said, Mike, you're going to be here. Don't worry, man. Which is really what I think it's very reassuring for all 49er fans. My question to you is, should they pick up his 5th-year option? And if you don't understand, next year is his 4th year. His 5th year is 2022. Nick, why don't you?
It's a great question. Great question. McGlinchey, we'll get into all the regressions later, but looking at McGlinchey, you already invested a top 10 draft pick in him. He was drafted 9th overall, 2018. You want to get the most out of that. And I question, where do you find the upgrade if you look to move on from McGlinchey? Justin School has not looked good this year, and the opportunities that he's had this season. Last year, he looked very good. So where are you going to find the upgrade down the road if you don't pick up McGlinchey's option? Do you know the exact cap hit? If that option,
I should know that. No, you keep talking and I'll find that out. No, I don't know. 5th-year option cap hit for the 9th pick in the draft.
Maybe like 9-10 million, somewhere something up there. Like maybe something like that. Yeah. I would pick that up because when you have he's a starting caliber right tackle in the NFL. And I do believe if the Niners moved on from him, he'd pick up another contract elsewhere. He's fantastic in the ground game. Passing-wise, pass blocking, he has a long way to go. I'd pick it up just for the sake of getting the most out of your 9th overall pick from 2018, maximizing your advantages within that contract, and hoping he gets stronger this offseason. That's what you're banking on, him getting stronger this offseason and improving as a pass blocker. I'd pick it up.
I think they do pick it up, but if I was in their position, I probably wouldn't. If he does bounce back, there's still also the possibility that you can re-sign him because you would have to give him that bigger contract in a year afterwards anyways if he does perform. But just in my opinion, I think there's no way they're able to get rid of him this offseason because I think they'll have to do a similar situation to what the Lions did with Laken Tomlinson, and I don't see that happening. So I think McGlinchey's the right tackle next year and probably not on the team in 2022.
So if you don't think that he's going to be on the team in 2022, then you're saying they're not going to pick up his 5th-year option. Is that right?
That's what you said, right?
I think there will be a way to get rid of him eventually if he can build up some value trade. Because offensive line.
Okay. You're trying to have it both ways. That's fine. All right, that's cool. You can try to play it both ways. That's fine.
Yeah, I think they're. I think that they need to keep him at this point right now with everything that's going on and all the other changes that they're going to need to be making. That's not a. You don't want to go into this season having 3/5 of your offensive line having to be changed around, or even the year after. Because right now they don't have a center. They don't really have a guard. If you're going to get rid of him at right tackle and a year after next year, you're really having to spend a lot of capital in that space. So I think, and it's a small cap hit. We're not looking at a big number. So picking up the 5th-year option keeps that number lower than if they try to re-sign him. So that's the direction I think that they're going to go. He's good in the run game. The pass game, he struggles, but they've got to get part of that has to do with the quarterback play as well.
You guys are very reasonable and you make good points. And I think the Niners are going to take your advice and pick up his 5th-year option for the reasons that you all laid out. I'm going to go against the grain here, not just for the sake of it. I would not pick up Mike McGlinchey's option. One of you said that he's a starting caliber right tackle in the league. Is he? I don't think he is. I think he's the Niners starting right tackle by default because they don't have anyone else to play and they don't have the cap space or draft capital to replace him. That's why he's here. Okay, fine. So you can't replace him for 2021 and he has to come back, I guess, although they absolutely should bring in some competition for him next year. That doesn't mean you lock him in for 2022 at a pretty nice rate. I mean, maybe it's not that much, but I don't think he should be starting. I don't really see the value with him. I mean, you could say he's a pretty good run blocker, and yeah, he's pretty good, but I don't think there's a place in the league anymore for the right tackle who's just a run blocker and is a total freaking liability in pass protection because there aren't closed formations all the time anymore. There's a lot of empty formations. You have your best pass catcher on the team is your tight end. You don't need him blocking all the time. You can't help that guy all the time. If you could, I don't know. I wouldn't pick it up. To me, the reason they're going to pick it up is the same reason that Dante Pettis was on the team forever and Tevin Coleman was on the team forever. It's Kyle. I mean, he just cannot admit a mistake. And admitting to the McGlinchey mistake would be a big one. He's not ready to do it yet. So that's why he's going to get his 5th-year option picked up, not because he's necessarily earned it, although you guys made good points. I just feel strongly about Big Mike. He's not allowed to be called Big Mike anymore. He's Skinny Mike. What are you going to say, Jack?
I was just going to say, no, you're right on a lot of that, because when you watch the 49ers and you're watching them on film, when they're in 7-step drop or 5-step drop, McGlinchey's getting beat around the edge on a consistent basis. So that's kind of where I was going with the quarterback play, helping them out, because if they can get the run game and the quarterback to where they're running more play action like they did last week, it kind of eliminates his weakness to a point. But, if they're in a game where they're going to need to throw, he's definitely a liability right now, especially this year. Who knows? Maybe he just needs to start eating more. Maybe get into
he
the weight
certainly
room.
needs to start eating more. Look, I understand that he's pretty much impossible to replace for 2021. I got that. Fine. Bring in some competition. Hope he eats a little bit more this offseason and comes in at 310. But that doesn't mean you need to lock him up for 2022 as well. That's all I'm saying.
They need to make that decision this offseason, correct?
That's right. That's right. They need to make that decision pretty darn soon. So if I were John Lynch, I would push back a little bit. But you guys make a good point. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll end up flip-flopping my opinion here. What's up?
The one thing I think on McGlinchey, like not being a starting caliber offensive lineman, is there's 32 teams, 5 offensive linemen on every team. So that's, I think, 160 starting offensive linemen in the NFL. Would you say there's probably 100 starting caliber offensive linemen probably, and a bunch are makeshift? So in my opinion, I'd rather go the cheap route. If $6 million ends up being the cheap route for right tackle, then yeah, I could see McGlinchey being a bargain. But if you can get a similar production from McGlinchey for $3 million, which, I mean, we've seen what $3 million gets you with Tom Compton, but
it's true.
Who knows? So they kind of have to hit the lotto in a late draft pick if they want to replace him, in my opinion.
The problem with McGlinchey is he's so tall and so high cut and so light that I don't think you can move him to any other. I don't think he can play any other position on the offensive line besides right tackle. And he doesn't even play right tackle that well. I don't know. I don't know about this guy, but we'll see. All he needs is an all-you-can-eat buffet and a gym. And I think maybe he'll have maybe he has a chance. Maybe he has a chance. He was decent in 2019. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe they need a new offensive line coach, the Chris Kosarick of the offensive line. Bring that guy in. Because Chris Kosarick has a great effect on all these other guys, except for Armstead. Yeah,
but if you go back and look at 2019, they were running a lot of play action with Garoppolo because that's what they needed to do for him.
And a lot of quick passes.
A lot of quick passes, a lot of those kind of things, especially watch like the Seattle game last year, that last game of the season. I think they ran play action like 17 out of 22 of their passes.
Yeah, they weren't playing from behind very much last year. So Mike McGlinchey was fine. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Enough of Mike. I can't stand talking. No, I like talking about it.